Hi there, I'm Bob Plankers. I'm a staff technical marketing architect at VMware Corporation, and it's my pleasure to do a deep dive on the Virtual TPM, or Virtual Trusted Platform Module, or vTPM. There are many names for the same thing, but regardless of what you want to call it, the vTPM sounds like a good thing to call it. Let's go through it. Let's talk about it. Let's introduce it. We'll talk about some design. We'll answer some questions. And yeah, along the way, we'll talk about VM encryption and things like that too. And so, just a quick disclaimer, I actually am probably weird, and well, I know I'm weird, but I talk about my disclaimer a lot because it's a good reminder that security context is everything. The context in which your business operates affects the security controls you'll need in that. And so one size doesn't fit all with security. Things that I think are a good idea might not be great for your organization, or maybe they are. And who can figure that out? Well, you can. Hopefully, at the end of this video, you will have all the information you need to make a good decision. And to put my marketing guy hat on for a second, if you do want a second set of eyes, our professional services group actually has a lot of experience in secure system design, regulatory compliance design and audits and things, system hardening, all of that stuff. And so if you want a second set of eyes, reach out to your account team and we can get you set up. But taking my marketing guy hat off, let's talk about just the feature itself. And so we'll go through data at rest encryption features quickly. If you've watched my native key provider videos or whatever, you've seen it already. And so I'll zip through that. Then we'll talk about the vTPM and what it enables. We'll talk about Windows 11 and Windows Server 2022 and Linux and all that stuff. And we'll talk about some resources. And then Q&A. I'll point you to a whole list of Q&A we have out on core.vmware.com. I think we got like 40 or 50 questions that people have asked us. We've just written them all down, went back through my email and found all of them and wrote them all down so that you can have access to them as well. Not that we don't want to talk to you, but we can get the base stuff figured out and we can have a better conversation afterwards. And if we're missing something, you can leave me feedback and I'll answer it for you. So anyhow, let's get into it. Data at rest encryption in vSphere. We've got three main things. One is VM encryption. It does exactly that. It encrypts VMs on the storage that they're on right now, and they don't need anything special. They do need a key provider. We'll talk about that in a second. It can be everything or selective. It can just be the configuration files for a VM or individual VMDKs, that sort of thing. vTPM. vTPM is the Virtual Trusted Platform Module, and it's built on VM encryption. It uses because the workloads are going to be storing secrets in this Virtual Trusted Platform Module device. We need to keep those safe, and so we use VM encryption on disk to encrypt the configuration file, the NVRAM file in the home directory of the VM, is what keeps the TPM data, and so that'll be encrypted. And so that's why it needs VM encryption. And then vSAN encryption. Arguably, you can argue whether that's part of vSphere or not, but it's delivered. It's one of the cool things. It's delivered as part of the vSphere. Even though to use vSAN data at rest encryption, you do need, I think, the advanced vSAN license. Don't quote me on that. But VM encryption, you need Enterprise Plus. vTPM licensed at all levels of vSphere. So you essentials all the way up to Enterprise Plus, you can use vTPMs and native key provider. And that's good. And then vSAN encryption is the other license level there. You do need a key provider. There's three main key providers. There's the standard key provider, which connects vSphere to a more traditional KMS system. It's an external key provider, key management system. Sometimes they're virtual, sometimes they're physical boxes, but that's outside of the scope of vSphere. And so you pick one. We've got a bunch listed in the vSphere or the VMware compatibility guide, our partners in that, and you can reach out to them. Some are inexpensive, some are really expensive. They have different guarantees and insurance and all kinds of stuff, and it's beyond the scope. Sizing and design of this stuff of those standard key providers is beyond the scope of this. And but please, you need to make sure that it's reliable, and that it's as reliable as DNS, as one of my colleagues often put it. Because you don't want to be the person without the keys to your encryption, just like losing your car keys. Except if you lose your car keys, you actually might have better options for restoring access to your car than you would here. But Neither here nor there. Let's talk about native key provider. Native key provider is built right into vSphere. One of the things customers told us was, hey, it'd be great if vSphere could just do this on its own, reduce some complexity in that. And if you're interested in native key provider, I've got a whole bunch of recordings about that. Go to core.vmware.com/security, click on security features. There's a whole page with stuff in our YouTube channel here as well. And I appreciate you visiting our YouTube channel, by the way. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead, and not to be a YouTube star or whatever, but to go ahead and click click subscribe. We appreciate you subscribing. If you ring the little bell, if you click the bell, then you'll be notified when we post new things as well. And so that's pretty cool. But native key provider, I digress. Native key provider's pretty cool and enables you to get started pretty easily. Like vTPM, it's licensed at all levels of vSphere. Trusted key provider builds on standard key provider and uses a feature or set of features called vSphere Trust Authority that we introduced in vSphere 7. And it ties access to the cryptographic keys to host state. So the host has to pass attestation. It has to have secure boot turned on, have booted correctly, be free of malware, and a good configuration. And then it gets access to cryptographic keys. And so that's pretty cool, but that's beyond the scope of this conversation here too. But you can look it up if you're interested in that. It's pretty cool technology. So virtual trusted platform modules. What is a trusted platform module? It's TPM, trusted platform module. There's people that call it TPM modules, which trusted platform module. You'll catch me saying that from time to time. This is not criticism. It's just me noting this. It's a computer chip. In fact, I've got one right here. It's about the size of the last joint of my pinky here. It's really small. They sit inside. This is from a Dell. Dell mounts theirs. This came from up underneath the drive cage. They're a little hard to get to. Order your servers with them. What they do, they can securely store artifacts, passwords, certificates, encryption keys, stuff like that. They can also help with machine identity. That can be used to authenticate the platform. Let's see, store platform measurements to help with boot and help ensure the trustworthiness of the system. It also has a pretty slow. TPMs are actually they're kind of like modems on. It's a serial bus that they operate on, and they're a little slow, but they've got a random number generator that can help seed the random number generators that are part of ESXi to generate entropy. Entropy or randomness is really important for cryptographic operations, and so these little fellas here, they help with our security in that way as well. And so they're pretty cool. We definitely recommend. They're not mandatory. We definitely recommend installing them on, if you're buying new hosts, they're an extra $50 or so in the US. Add them. Windows is starting to require them with Windows 11 and that, and it's not a stretch. All desktops come with TPM functionality. Servers should just too, but needless to say, you have to order it. TPM 2.0 too. Don't get the 1.2s, get the 2.0. Anyhow, so that's a trusted platform module. And if we take a step back here, what I was just showing you, this is just a picture. Actually, it's not the same one. In fact, the different key or different serial number on it. But the physical TPM in a host belongs to ESXi. It doesn't belong to workloads. We do not let workloads store their secrets in the physical TPM. And why is that? Well, think about it. If you store secrets from a workload in a TPM, that workload can't vMotion. It can't go anywhere. And we don't want that. That's an operational consideration that, we don't want to break vMotion. We want people to be able to move their workloads around so they can patch and recover from outages and do all kinds of neat stuff, And so ESXi, if it's got a TPM available to it, it will store its secrets there. And so we need a place for workloads to store their secrets. So we came up with a virtual TPM. It's a full TPM 2.0 implementation. You can add it as a device, add new device here. You can see the screenshot. You can add it as a device, just a trusted platform module. If you've got a supported operating system, guest operating system, and you've got a key provider configured, this will show up, and you can just go ahead and add it and say, okay, that's all. It's very easy. I'll show you in just a second here. It does require VM encryption, so you do need the key provider configured. Cloning it, we'll have to talk about cloning a little bit. There's some considerations around cloning because you're going to get an exact copy of the VM, including the TPM. Do you want that or not? Well, maybe, maybe not. VMs can't be exported in OVF and OVA form with a TPM, with a virtual TPM attached. I don't know why I keep showing you the physical one, but it can't be exported because there's no way to secure them as of right now. And so if that's of interest to you, reach out and we like feedback. I'll put it that way. So really easy to enable TPMs, very straightforward. Native key provider makes it super easy and it's licensed at all vSphere levels. And again, it does not depend on your hardware TPM. So to use a virtual TPM, you don't need a hardware TPM at all, to be honest with you, because it preserves vMotion that way. And so this is me recording. This is a real-time video recorded of me adding a trusted platform module device to a VM. That's it. I'm going to hit OK here. And then you're going to see that it says the configuration files are encrypted. Ta-dum. That's it. And it didn't encrypt the hard disks. You can do that if you want, if you're licensed for it and want to do that. Otherwise, you're good to go here. Make sure that your key provider is backed up and that all of that stuff is good to go. So speaking of backups, VMs with virtual TPMs and VMs that are encrypted can be backed up. Just check with your backup provider. They've got ways of doing that. So you can also vTPMs work up in VMware Cloud on AWS. Native key providers automatically configured for you, so you don't even have to do that. You can just go in and add the virtual trusted platform module, and problem solved. You'll see it flips to encrypted, and that's that. So Windows 11, when it shipped, required TPMs, and it was kind of a surprise, like, oh my goodness, and this meets the hardware requirements for Windows 11. It's also fully supported by Microsoft as a device on the i3EN and i4i device host types in VMware Cloud on AWS. Meets all the requirements, and you can see this is Windows 11 screenshot here. It's just showing a trusted platform module 2.0. Linux hosts, Linux workloads, I'm sorry, also see it like this. We support vTPMs for major distributions. If your distribution doesn't show up, if the trusted platform module device doesn't show up for you on certain distributions, you can change it to Red Hat or something like that, and it'll allow you to add that device. It won't remove it. What you can do is you can flip it to Red Hat, add the device, and flip it back to whatever distribution you're using. Sometimes there's a lag between distributions being supported in that way, and it's because of our testing. We want to make sure that it works correctly with that. But Linux, the secret about Linux is pretty much because the Linux kernel is pretty much the same everywhere. It's the same TPM drivers and all that stuff everywhere too. So not too worried about it, and that's the workaround for it. And yeah, vTPM in Windows, it can secure BitLocker, it can secure Device Guard, Credential Guard, all that stuff. For Device Guard and Credential Guard and some of the more advanced features, you do need to also turn on virtualization-based security, VBS, as well. So that's a checkbox in the configuration of the VM. So I mentioned cloning. Cloning is an interesting issue with vTPMs because with vSphere 6.7, 6.5, 6.7, 7, well, I guess TPMs didn't exist prior to vSphere 6.7, but with the older versions of vSphere, you got an exact copy of the VM, and that was an exact copy of the virtual TPM too. But you might not actually want that, especially if you're doing a new deployment, a new VM. You don't want the same secrets on all of your VMs. That kind of defeats the point. I guess if you're just going for regulatory compliance, checking the box, that would work. But if you actually want security, you probably want them to have different keys and things. And so vSphere 8, we offer a choice, and you can set the default in vCenter Server which way it'll default to if you don't specify. But if you're doing the clone through the UI, it'll ask you, do you want to copy the TPM? You have an exact copy, or do you want to replace it? Exact copy might be something you want, especially if you're using it for a backup, or you want to be able to recover after maybe you're cloning to be able to recover after an application upgrade that failed or something like that. Then you want an exact copy. But if you're cloning a new VM, again, you might not want the same secrets everywhere. So that's pretty much it. We'll loop back through here. Consider your cloning workflows. vTPM encrypts the VM home files, so the configuration files, but not the VMDKs. Encrypted VMs can't be exported to OVF OVA at the moment. Cross vCenter vMotion works fine, but you need to have the same key provider in both places. Native key provider, you can just take the backup file off of one and import it into another one. If you're using a standard key provider, then you just need to configure it in both places, that sort of thing. Same for DR sites and whatnot. The VM, in order to have trusted platform modules as an option here, it does need to be configured with EFI firmware. You should be doing that anyhow, turning on secure boot and all that stuff. Secure boot's been around for 13 years. We should be building our new VM templates with it. It helps deter malware. It's kind of an important step there. And one gotcha: physical TPMs aren't hot swappable, so virtual ones aren't either. It might be a full TPM 2.0, but it inherits some of the downsides to it. So the VM has to be powered off in order to add the virtual trusted platform module device and to do the home file encryption. It's really quick. You shut it down, you add it, you turn it back on. So not a huge problem, but now you know, and that's that. So resources, I would be remiss in not if I did not tell you that you should sign up for a security advisory mailing list. You get VMSA notifications the moment they're published. There's no marketing on this list. We're forbidden from sending you marketing. All we're going to send you, and I like to joke about it, it's just bad news. Just news about vulnerabilities. But we want you to know about those things so you can protect them, because prevention is a matter of time. The longer you let that stuff sit there, the more chances attackers have to take advantage of it. And so we want you to be safe. And yeah. And I've always enjoyed, I threw it in here, you can know before your InfoSec people ask. I always have enjoyed beating them to the punch. Hey, Bob, we needed to take a look at something. Hi, we patched that already. What? You're crazy. Yes, I am. Thank you. So at any rate, security configuration guides. If you're looking for other hardening guidance for your vSphere environments, the security configuration guides have been around for 15 some odd years. I'm the curator of them. I feel very strongly about them, and they're good advice, good baseline advice. Can you do more security above and beyond? Turn it all to 11? Yeah, you can if you want. But this is good hardening advice and good solid stuff, that'll work, and it's tested. So you can find all that stuff at core.vmware.com. We've got 3 main security and compliance pages. We've got a ransomware page, a compliance page, and we've got a security page. And in the security page here, if you click on Cloud Infrastructure Security Configuration Guides, there's all sorts of other stuff there too. TLS configurations and firewalling helpers and all kinds of stuff. You'll enjoy it. So network encryption, all kinds of stuff. So questions and answers. One of the other things that's out there is questions and answers. We've got about 50 different questions about vTPMs, things that we've been asked by customers, real customers like yourself. And we wrote them all down. Questions like, are there performance issues if you had a vTPM? And that's a good question, because no security is free. Security is always a trade-off, right? And when you're encrypting something, you're usually trading performance. Well, vTPMs are just like their counterparts. These physical TPMs, they're pretty slow. They're not used for a whole lot. The keys that are stored in there are small, so you're not going to see a whole lot of performance. But what also happens is that when you encrypt the home files, you encrypt the swap file too. So if your environment is swapping, if you've got more memory allocated to VMs than you have physically in your hosts, then that might impact performance. So nuance there, but that's the sort of question you'll get at the frequently asked questions list. And if your question isn't there, you can reach out to your account team and your SEs. They know a lot of answers to these things. You can ask it in feedback. There's a little feedback button you can click on, and and I'll add it when I have an answer for you. So yeah, well, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking with me for 20 minutes here. And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel, ring the bell, and you'll be notified about new videos such as this one and other featured videos as well. So I hope you're all staying safe and sound and secure. Good luck to you, and take care.